And when NJN News continues, removing but remembering relics. How the memory of a closed Catholic church will live on. That story just ahead. Call it divine intervention. As Catholic churches across the state struggle to stay open, the Archdiocese of Newark has found a way to preserve the memory and artistic religious works of some that do close. Brianna Venozzi picks up the pieces of one landmark church getting a new lease on life.
With each careful tap, these consecrate windows, pieces of history that bore witness to countless masses and other sacraments, are being removed and preserved. It's part of a plan to keep the heritage of the Sacred Heart Church in Newark alive, though its doors have closed.
Our plan is to take the windows from this church and use them in 3 different mausoleum projects, which are currently either planned or underway for Catholic cemeteries for the Archdiocese of Newark.
Built in 1929 in the Vailsburg section of the city, the church once served some 3,000 parishioners. There are stories of standing room only crowds on a typical Sunday morning. But with declining attendance and no financial resources to complete much-needed repairs, the church held its final Mass in June.
This is like the loss of a family member. But I think at the same time, they appreciate that the Archdiocese of Newark is doing its best, that we are not demolishing this building.
So where not many people are coming to this church any longer, in our cemeteries, those million people that are buried there are visited by many millions of people each year.
Over the next 2 weeks, all 36 windows will come down and several $100,000 will be spent to refurbish and relocate the divine works of art. And it's not just the windows that are being moved. Parishioners can also enjoy pieces like this baptismal fountain. It's one of the many artifacts that will adorn mausoleums in North Arlington, East Hanover, and Mahwah. Ray Clagnan has worked in the stained glass business his entire life and leads this tedious process.
Today, making windows like this is pretty tough just because of the expense and the talent needed to be able to paint and design these windows. There's not many people out there that can do that anymore.
And while the next chapter of life for the statues and windows has been written, the fate of the church is not as certain.
We're considering perhaps other faith-based groups that might want to utilize the space. I mean, that is our first desire.
Brianna Venozzi, NJN News, Newark.
Some beautiful works indeed.